All right, everybody, we have another marketing strategy session. And again, I have Lillian on with me. So we talked, how many years ago was that? It was it
I
three,
think it, I
four?
think it was more like 9 years ago, maybe
Oh
when we
no,
first started. Yes,
I'm
I
so
think it
old.
was.
I'm so old. Yeah,
But I think that's a great thing, right? It's a great example, you and I, that networking relationships can last a very long time.
definitely, definitely. And back then you had a book called The Purple Snowflake, and that was so interesting. Such a great read, and it catches you just by the name. I mean, Purple Snowflake. It's like, what in the world is that? And
That's
I think,
right.
wasn't it snowing when we had the last interview too? I think
You
it
know,
was
it might
snowing.
have been, yes.
Yeah, so it was right on time.
That's great.
Wow. Well, since then you've written other books as well.
Yeah, well, altogether now we have 6 books.
Okay.
Originally, I mean, if you count the one that is no longer in publication, we had officially written 7 books, but one of those books is no longer in publication. The most recent one is our cookbook, and that's the From One Small Garden, over 300 nutritious, delicious recipes is the title. And we did a revision about 2 months after that book release. We had another book release, but this one was a revision of the book that you just mentioned, The Purple Snowflake Marketing, and we brought it up to date. So even
Okay.
though the content in the book is evergreen, it's, it doesn't matter what decade you read this in, it still applies. However, we brought it up to more modern times. So we had a lot more experience to add in there,
Yeah.
about what, 12 years extra experience, and, various e-commerce courses and SEO and social networking, information that we had perfected and also increased our knowledge. And so we made sure that that was in there as well. So got rid of all the old links, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So it's totally revised, and it was just released. I think it was May, was it not? May it was
Okay.
released.
Wow. Good, good. Well, it's a great read. And
Thank you.
had to get the new revised version of it. Uh, and it's all available really on Amazon. It's also available on Brummett Media, the website.com. So you can get it either way. And so there's definitely ways that you can consume the content. Um, so I mean, wow, where we start? You have 6 books to go through. Um, I guess we can revisit Purple Snowflake and see what's new with the up to date version.
Okay. Well, Purple Snowflake Marketing is now, I believe, a 375-page book. So this is not a one-day read. You'll also find when you look in this book that there's no white space, meaning we haven't added extra pages there. The chapter, when the chapter ends, it's down to the end of the page. This is a very compact, full of information in here, but it
Okay.
also has inspiring quotes from experienced authors and PR agents, book agents, and various other professionals in the industry, proofreaders, editors, various genres of people have graciously allowed us to continue to include their wonderful quotes and very helpful quotes, which I think is really interesting too, because you get to hear the world of writing from different voices, and it confirms the information in the book, but of course they also add their own special tips and techniques that they're sharing in those quotes. So it's such a pleasure to have those in there as well. And we have a wonderful foreword written by a professional in the industry, so we're really excited about that. The information, as I said, was basically there, how to
Mhm.
run a business, how to start a business plan, and so forth. We just tweaked it with information that we've learned and techniques that we've learned to make it more simplified
Mhm.
and more easy for other people to follow in our footsteps and enjoy the same sort of successes using a very frugal and sometimes free marketing plan, which is very helpful for the budget. So It includes much of what we've learned in the last 12 years, including, as I mentioned, the SEO, the e-commerce courses that I've been taking over the years, over the last decade. So many of them, research that I've done
Yeah.
on all kinds of more internet-based marketing in regards to how to do Facebook ads and how to do, utilize LinkedIn more efficiently, and,
Mhm.
how to highly target your market on these areas so that when you put out your post and you're putting the time on social networking, you're doing it the most effectively, reaching the audience that actually wants to hear about your topic. So we cover things like that. I mean, there's a lot more added into it,
Yeah.
quite a bit more added into it. And I'm so proud of it. It's such a thorough and thick book. And honestly, it's absolutely everything that I know about the industry. I've been in this industry now for over 25 years, well, going on 28 years, I think now. I'm not
Okay.
100% sure. I'd have to do the math, but somewhere around there. And it's been, just a huge learning curve because, I've come from as a staff writer, freelance writer. I've worked as a professional book reviewer, a product reviewer. I've worked for magazines. I've done freelance work. I think I said that. And then, of course, publishing the books and blogging and all kinds of experiences, as well as the talk radio shows we used to run. So
Mhm.
all of that experience from both sides of the table is in there, giving people the advice from all of those skills and experiences that we've learned along the way. And of course, Dave was able to add a lot more information about how to utilize your graphics better, your images, your color choices. That's really his forte, is the more artistic and graphic and online imagery that we have. All our images and logos and everything are done by him. And
Okay.
so he had a lot to share in what he's learned to, increased in his skills in that regard over the last, decade and more. So, a lot more really went into the book.
Wow. Right. And that's great. I mean, that's a good combination, the words and the image. Y'all have a great team going on there.
We
And
sure
it's
do.
so interesting how, things have changed so much with social, with the internet and so forth, but yet the principles are still the same. So, and a lot of times I think businesses forget, they get so caught up in the shiny new toy or technology
Hmm.
that they forget the principles of marketing are still the same. So they're saying, if I just have TikTok ads or if I just have Facebook ads, I'll be successful. But
Hmm.
it's not the TikTok or Facebook ads that make you successful. It's how you approach them and who you're targeting, what you're telling them, what's the funnel, the whole marketing principle, the strategy behind it is what makes it work versus the tool itself. And so, that's great that you updated it, but still kept the core the same.
Absolutely. It's really important for anyone that's looking into any kind of advertising or starting a blog or opening a website or anything like that, is to really do some creative research. And what I mean by that is you already know who your targeted audience is, you know who you're aiming for. So go to the places that are already focusing on that. You might call them your competitors, your direct competitors, but maybe they're off branches of being a direct competitor, but they still reach a similar audience. And
Mhm.
really research them. What kind of ads are they putting out? What kind of advertisers are coming on to their blogs and newsletters and what have you? And what do they look like? And why do you think that they're advertising there? What kind of language are they using in order to reach that publication's audience? Really do some research, see some keywords that they're focusing on, look at color themes that they might be using that might be their success, and
Okay.
then go back to your own, imagery, your own brand that you're creating, and rethink it. Really give it a look. What worked for them? What did you like about what they were doing? What did you thought was a little off, you didn't really like so much? And so you learn from their techniques, picking and choosing what you personally feel is going to work for your situation. Your personal taste play a role in that as well. But and it really helps you refine the look and the font, all of that you're going to be utilizing, and it makes everything that you put out that much more effective because you're really appealing to that particular audience.
That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. So you're really reverse engineering the industry as well as those that are making impact in the industry versus sitting and assuming that this is what everyone wants. So that makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I know you leverage, you and Dave, Dave and you, however you say it. I got to be on my P's and Q's with my grammar. Um, you leverage books as a way to get in front of your audience and get your message out there. I know that there are some authors, as well as some coaches and so forth, that leverage written material in order to create brand awareness. What is one of your strategies? I know you can't reveal them all, but one of your strategies in how you're leveraging these books in order to drive attention to your business and drive business overall.
Okay, well, that's a really heavy question, but I think I can answer it simply just by saying that we pay great attention to getting to networking. I think networking is really our forte that we've perfected, because once you've built these relationships, whether they're with the small business community in your local region, or there are distant contacts that you've created online, or if it's members of the media, it's to keep those, to attain those networking relationships, and to approach them in such a way that they're going to want to work with you for long term. And
Yeah.
that means that you're not just reaching out to that particular person and their audience and their contacts with just one time. Your efforts are actually going to have a ripple effect. So in the
Yeah.
future, you can network together. And then, maybe a year later, you touch base and you share some great information with them, some useful links. Maybe you offer them something, some sort of free exposure, whatever it is. And you keep that networking relationship open, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they do the same. And then referrals happen back and forth. And that is the key. So no matter
Okay.
what angle you're working at in regards to your marketing plan, and it changes all the time. As you
Okay.
say, sometimes you're doing ads, sometimes maybe you're not doing very much activity online, I should say, sorry, because you're in the vehicle and you're doing a tour.
Yeah.
So you have to set aside things, and that can be really difficult too, because you're in the middle of a campaign maybe and you want to follow it through, but then something else comes up in your marketing plan, or an opportunity comes up unannounced and just spontaneously, and you need to respond to it within a certain time frame. You have to set something aside and deal with this and then get back to that. So it's an ongoing, constant thing. You never give up. You have to be tenacious. You have to be proactive. You have to be organized, and you have to be very giving minded. So networking doesn't mean, hi, I have a book. Would you like to promote me? That's not networking. Okay.
Yeah.
So networking is, hey, I'm an author. I have these books. I would really like to find a way for us to network together. So that's your thoughts in your mind, but
Okay.
that's not the language that you use when you reach out to them. You'll be saying, I stumbled across your blog. I was really intrigued by this article that you wrote. I honestly felt this and that about your blog or your topic or your focus or you personally, right? I have some
Mm-hmm.
comments.
Mm-hmm.
And then I reach into them and say, because of this, I thought maybe we could network because we have a similar focus on our blog, and maybe we could, do some cross promotions or work together in some way. And you give them some examples, give them a bunch of links to follow up on so that your letter isn't too long. And you wouldn't believe the responses that you get. Another tip that I really think is super important that we excel at is being very aware of your manners. So your thank yous. I
Mm-hmm.
really
Okay.
appreciate your time and really mean it. I really appreciate the fact that you have 400 emails to deal with on your desktop and you chose to respond to me and have this communication. I appreciate that. So we have this relationship, this gracious relationship going back and forth, feeding each other. And it can be, as you and I have shown, it can be a very long-term thing where we both benefit over time.
Yeah. Now, have you looked at that? This is another kind of wow question. So, a lot of times when we're in business, we're trying to get in front of a lot of people.
Hmm.
And so with that, trying to get in front of a lot of people may take a lot of resources to do. Or do you say, okay, I have a hit list of 15, 20 people. Those are the ones I'm going to go after. And I'm going to put maximum effort in these 15, 20. Or is it, okay, well, I'm going to have a template and I'm going to go after, 1,000 people. And whoever comes back will kind of filter them through. I mean, what approach do you prefer?
Well, I think there's a place for both.
Okay.
Um, Mass marketing has some real dangers to it. So let's say you've decided that you're going to advertise in a print publication that has a circulation, meaning a readership that actually reads their magazine, has subscribed to it. So they have a circulation of, let's say, 150,000 readers. And you're thinking, that's pretty cool. I can reach 150,000 readers with this ad. Okay. But where are those people? You know, what type of people are they?
Okay.
We have to be really careful of that. So there's a place online, actually there's several of them, Media Bids is one of them, where the media might have some empty space on their publications, and
Okay.
they let it out and they say, I'd like this space filled. Somebody pick it up for this discount, or make me an offer, and whoever gets the highest bid gets the piece. They're just trying to fill the piece. And some people like to go for that because they get great discounts, 60% discounts or whatever on an ad. But you don't get the choice of placement in that
Mhm.
publication, which plays a big role. Is there an article that's related to your topic that maybe your ad should be beside? So a
Okay.
little communication with that publication to make your ad that much more effective. But also you need to be aware of what that circulation is. Who are they? What are their reader, what are they doing? What are they interested in? And so let's just say that 150,000 people are the people that are in your downtown center. Let's say you live in a large region and you have that much in your downtown center, and you want to target that particular region because you're having a book signing that Friday or next Friday, and you want to get your name more recognized. So when you do other promotions for your book signing event, every time your name is mentioned, people will be like, oh, Lillian Brumman, I heard that name somewhere already. And so the
Okay.
name recognition starts happening. So there's places where you can use it, but there's also a lot of caution involved there too.
Okay. Yeah. And I think, when building these relationships, especially long-term relationships, it's kind of hard to juggle so many balls in the air, and figure out when you get a reply. Let's say they reply to your email and they say, yeah, let's do something. But they don't reply to the email that you sent. So you're like, who is this? And what were we talking about again? And where did I meet them?
Okay, that's where record keeping comes in, and I talk a lot about that in the book because I find that it's really important to do. Keep your record. So I'll keep an Excel file for my current 2021 marketing contacts. So when I
Okay.
reach out to someone, I send them my draft email for that particular genre of person, because I have all these draft emails to make it easier. I
Mhm.
copy that email, I go to send it to them, I tweak it for them, the intro, how it comes across, whatever. And then before I send it, and then I send it off. So I make a record of their email, I make a record of their website address. If they happen to have a name associated, they don't always, sometimes it's just info at or whatever. So
Okay.
and I also the title of the blog or whatever I'm
Okay.
targeting at that moment. And so it's just simple information, 4 columns, 4 or 5 columns. The fifth one would be like, say, for your comments, you want to say, oh, I found this source here, maybe, if that's important to you. Or maybe you're going to say, oh, they responded on June 21st. I marketed to them on May 29th. I can see that their response time is this. So I can expect that when I reply to them. There's a lot of reasons to keep this information. I use color coding, my favorite thing in the world. So I'll put like a translucent blue, which means I need to get back to them within a certain time frame, 2 or 3 weeks. I need to get back to them. Pink means something's going on with them, but I'm just waiting for them to get back to me with a positive response. Hey, this is your publication date, or whatever it is. Here's your interview questions. So
Okay.
pink tells me that I'm waiting for them to come come to me, and purple tells me that it's done and it was a positive thing. And I use like a tan color for, they weren't really interested in working with me at this time.
Okay.
So at the end of the season, I go back and I take out the ones that I didn't get responses for, because I don't need to keep a record of previous marketing uh, of of ones that didn't respond. I only need to keep records of ones I've had actual interactions with. But for all that year while I'm marketing, I might, as you say, get a response from someone and I'm going, gosh, I can't remember querying them. And it turns out, oh, way back in January, here it is July, but way back
Yeah.
in January, I queried them and oh, look, I got their resource from this particular place, like I don't know, Blogger List or something like that. I got their name from, and how interesting. So now we can, start this communication, and it's really important to have that. I like to for follow up is really important. So at a glance, every month or two, probably every two, I go through just at a glance, I look at all the blues. Who do I
Okay.
need to respond to, and why haven't I followed up on them yet? Maybe they told me, oh, give me a couple months or something. So
Okay.
it's really important to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. As man, to be that organized, you know.
It sounds like it, but once you have the Excel folder set up, you
Mhm.
just copy the file. When you need to make a new sheet, you move your sheet over, you delete the contents, you start over with a whole new sheet. And it's actually quite easy to do once it's set up. If you don't know how to do it, someone could set it up for you. Just a 5-column sheet is all you need. And it's just really simple and easy. It's got a nice search box at the top, which I've been finding super handy for situations like what you're saying. And I can go in there and say, oh, Junebug just wrote me, and I don't know who this Junebug, what she belongs to, who she was from, because her signature didn't say anything. And so I type in the search box, and whoop, it just shows me, the line. It's so
Okay.
much easier for my response time and for my responses. And the effect from the media and my networking sources is just that, wow, you're so organized, you're so easy to work with, and that's how you want to be. You want them to perceive you as being so easy to work with, and they get so much out of the relationship that they want to continue that relationship.
Okay. Okay. So you're really building, a relationship and not a transaction. Um,
Right, exactly.
okay. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I got to figure out how to do these spreadsheets. And I'm so techie. I'll probably use something like HubSpot or some CRM. Let me
Probably.
figure it out. But yeah, that's a great thing, because a lot of times with so many emails that you get on a day-to-day basis, you just kind of let things slip through the crack and forget who you contacted and why, especially if they don't get back in touch with you that same day or next day. So cool. So I mean, with like, you have so much going on. You're contacting people. You got networking. You got the books. You're marketing.
Yes.
You're building
Do
businesses.
blogs.
Blog. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a certain ritual routine that you would recommend to say, okay, here's how you can accomplish all of this and not have to work 23 out of 24 hours a day?
Initially, you really do need to put in a lot of time. But once you have your system set up, you've gotten your business plan and your strategies, and you've done all the preliminary stuff, and you're just doing the operations, day-to-day operations. Once
Mhm.
you've gotten to the day-to-day operations point, it's really about time management for you. So when do you work at your best? What is your peak mental time for you, peak energy times for you?
Okay.
Maybe it's, midnight to 5 in the morning, so it's really a personal thing when it comes to that. But once you figured out what your particular time clock and your best of your best, is, work with that as much as you can. But for myself, I was actually involved in a car accident in 98, and I still have, the repercussions from that. So, the old injuries like to talk back on a regular basis is, I guess, a better way of putting it. So, I have difficulty with sitting for long periods or standing for long periods. Any sustained position, holding my hands up high is difficult, things like that. So for me, I try to balance being in the office with doing activities around the home, tending to our 3 dogs and cat, being a wife as well, and running our gardens and helping with the studio when Dave's home. So um, it's a balance as to what's on the schedule that day. Typically, I'm up about 5 o'clock in the morning this time of year. I'm out there doing the watering in the gardens before 9 o'clock, any harvestings that have to be done. In between that, when I'm coming in for my breaks or I'm bringing veggies in for rinsings, I'm looking at the computer, who's texted while I'm having a coffee, what have you, that morning, or breakfast. I'm at the computer, it's my
Okay.
kitchen's right here, so I'm watching it, I'm looking at it, and I'm always aware of it whenever I come in. So I see the immediate things that come in. But I also try to do about an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time at a stint is
Okay.
the most comfortable for me physically. And then I get up and I do something else. And what I find is actually good about that is I get a mental break. So I get to get up and I say, okay, here's a good stopping spot. And
Okay.
I get up and my mind gets a break and I do some mundane chores. And then my mind is thinking about, okay, well, the next step that I'm approaching is
Okay.
this. And I get to sort of mentally plan out the strategy. How am I going to approach them? What do I want to mention? Whatever it is that I'm working on. And I sort of fuzz out the fuzziness. And then when I get back to the computer, I'm aching to get at the board because I have so much in my mind. I just got to get it out.
Okay.
So I find an hour and a half at a time is typically what I'm spending, whether I'm writing, marketing, whatever it is, an hour and a half in the office at a time.
Okay. So you just you basically block off focus time, and you say, okay, for this hour and a half to 2 hours is just focused, and then I'll take a break and then come back and focus, instead of saying I'm just going to do a long amount of time, and really you're kind of doing a lot of nothing. You're kind of just
Yes, or
spending a
you
lot of
tend to make mistakes.
time. Okay.
Right. So you maybe you're in a hurry and you're sending out query letters, you're copy pasting, maybe you forget to tweak it and you realize, oh no, I just sent the last 2 people the wrong name or something. Like mistakes will happen because you get too much into the mode
Okay.
that your mind isn't double checking your activities. And so coming back with a fresh mind will really help eliminate some of those easy to do mistakes.
Yeah, I guess like in the writer's term, when they say come back with a fresh eye, I think that has a lot to do with it. So,
Absolutely. Oh, yes. When I'm writing some of my short stories or poems, especially, I'm stuck somewhere. I go and start doing some dishes, or, if it's early enough, go weed in the garden or play with the dogs or whatever. And all of a sudden, click, it might take a little while, but all of a sudden, click, and I can come back to it, and I got a direction to go with it. So,
well, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I caught myself today. I had an email and I said something to the effect I would like, but in the email I had I would link.
uh-oh.
And luckily I took a break and I came back and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. What was I? It was just basically I mistyped it, but I'm glad I took a break instead of, okay, I'm finished with this email, let me send it out.
Yes.
Because they would have said, what? I would link to what are you talking about?
That's right. Well, thankfully, most people have made similar mistakes, and so they're very understanding. When you do make a mistake like that, and you just text them back or email or whatever them back, and you're going, "Oops,
Yeah.
that was autocorrect or a typo or whatever," and they're, "Oh, that happens to me all the time." So people are pretty gracious about it when you do make mistakes, thankfully.
That is true. That is so true. Well, Lillian, thank you so much for being on. Let everyone know how they can reach you, as well as, get some of the books. I mean, honestly, you can see if you search by her name in Amazon, her books will come up. That's how I find you most of the time.
Right.
But also, share with everyone how they can get in contact with you and network.
Well, fantastic. Okay, well, One of the best tools for networking is our main blog, which is called Conscious Discussions. Brummett's Conscious blog is the name of it. Sorry, it used to be called Conscious Discussions. Sorry
Mm-hmm.
about that. We had a title change. So Brummett's Conscious blog, and you can find that at consciousdiscussions.blogspot.com. And
Okay.
that's been going on that particular location since 2004 and almost daily, publishing posts. There's several pages there as well. So I encourage people to look around at all the links on the sidebars and all the information that there is there, all kinds of great articles and interviews and all kinds of things there. So I hope people will browse around and enjoy the previously published posts. And feel free to reach out and network in any way. Just go to brummettmedia.ca. That's our main website, brummettmedia.ca. For social media, you can find us on most social media. I mean, there's thousands of social media out there, so I can't say every single one, but we're on most of the main ones, but not
Yeah.
all. So we tend to focus right now on Alignable and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and oh, good. I forgot the other one. So there's 5 that I tend to focus on, but we're listed in pretty much most of them, most
Okay.
of the common ones. So just do a name search on us there and you should be able to find us there. Our other blog is geared strictly for musicians. So it has topics that pertaining to touring and studio and tips for recording and getting your music out there to people, how to avoid mistakes, what different music titles mean when you go into the studio, who are
Oh,
these
okay.
people, what are their responses, what to expect. There's lots of interviews and articles and product reviews and quotes and tons of stuff there. It's got a real heavy slant for drummers and percussionists, which is what my husband is. He
Okay.
teaches that as well in the studio and repairs drums and stuff. And so it has a heavy focus with that, but many musicians can learn from it, how to be a cruise, get on a cruise ship as a musician. Various articles like that are published there. Every 4 or 5 days or so we have a new post.
Okay. Wow. Cool. Well, you have to give. Dave has to give with Alton. I do a podcast with Alton, Digital Beercast, and he's a drummer as well. So they may have to talk and have a drum session one day.
That would be fantastic. Well, you can see a couple of them in the background, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is
Yeah,
real cool.
there's so much down in his studio that they're starting to get up here now.
Wow. Well, I know sometimes it drives you crazy. I know one of the fun things to do with family members that have children, to give them something like that to bang on,
Oh
and then
yes.
you laugh because they're gonna keep everybody up at night banging on the drum. So that's a fun
A little revenge.
thing. Yes, yes, definitely.
I find drumming very soothing, ironically. I've fallen asleep to Dave doing lessons and I don't know, I just find it soothing and I've just really grooved to it and enjoy it. I'm not a player myself. I've dabbled. I've attended a few workshops when Dave's needed me there as a assistant, but I would
Okay.
never consider myself a musician or knowledgeable or talented in any way. He's the guy who does all of that, but it is fun, I have to say. It's really, really great fun.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I had to do that introduction so they can maybe get together because
That'd be
that
great.
that would be cool. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
so cool.
a
Well,
digital jam, right?
I know. Hey, that is something that would be real cool.
It would be.
Just have them up there. I don't know how it will work. I guess a Zoom meeting, I guess, or something of
Yes.
that nature. And I'm
Yeah.
sure there's technology out there for it, and they can, you know, uh, adjust the levels because I'm assuming that the levels over internet will be different than in person.
I would assume.
But that would be cool. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it would.
cool.
You have to do a test run, see how it goes.
Yeah. I had to see, and then maybe we can promote it. Maybe that's a whole nother
A
show.
whole nother thing. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So cool. Well, everybody, thank y'all for stopping in and listening.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for sharing so much and keeping us organized and giving us some ways of networking properly. And everybody, if you are looking to grow, go out and get that new edition of Purple Snowflake. marketing. It really has a lot in it, a lot that you can learn. And, you know, if you just want to peruse the blog and get some articles first and then dive into the 370 plus page book, then feel free to do that as well. And we'll see you on another marketing strategy session.